going on, Merc fam? In today's review, we're going to be going over a movie that was only released in theaters, A Quiet Place 2, directed by John Krasinski and starring Emily Blunt. But before we get into that, I want to make sure everybody likes and subscribes, and go ahead and tap that notification bell one time for your boy. I just want to make sure that everything I post you are aware of. Now, without further ado, let's jump into this A Quiet Place 2 review. Now, I know what you might be thinking. It's been a while since this movie was released, at least 3 weeks. But the thing is that it was only released in theaters, so I had to pretty much wait. And due to COVID restrictions and things like that in my city, I wasn't necessarily able to go watch it those times. But I was able to watch this movie in the theaters, and it was absolutely amazing. Before we jump into any spoilery details, I want to throw out a full spoiler disclaimer. I'm going to be talking about all aspects of this movie, so if you have not seen it or you have not seen the first, I suggest you go ahead and watch those, add me to your watch later playlist, and you catch this video at another time. So in the first movie, we were all introduced to the Abbott family, and essentially they are all trying to survive this alien invasion where the aliens are completely blind and can only hear and feel vibrations and things like that. So it is necessary for everyone to keep absolutely quiet. Hence the name A Quiet Place. Now, this movie, initially when it came out, I really enjoyed it. The way that the family dynamic was spun was actually very convenient for them, being that their two youngest children had some sort of disability where they cannot hear. So the whole family actually knows sign language, and they practice it damn near every day. So in the first film, they definitely had the upper hand amongst others because they are able to communicate to each other silently through hand signals and sign language, which made them actually survive a little better and get a little further than everyone else. Now, unfortunately, in the first movie, the husband, the dad, he did die. He sacrificed himself to save his kids, and it was very sad. The dad took a lot of pride in showing his family how to survive and what to do in this world and how to move as a unit. For him to lose his life saving his family, saving his kids, was a very, very honorable moment, and in this movie, he continues to get that nod. So in the beginning of this movie, they pretty much take it back and they show you what happened before the second movie, and it's only in certain bits and pieces. It doesn't necessarily show you exactly how the aliens got here or anything like that, but it did explain that it was some sort of comet that landed on Earth that started this entire invasion. Being that the husband lost his life and the kids lost their father, the mother is the one in charge, taking lead of the family, and they had a baby in the first movie, right? Very quietly, very silently. The way that they go about keeping the baby quiet in this movie, I think, is very scary, but very smart at the same time. Not only do they have to be quiet, but they have to adhere to a crying, whining baby. How hard must that be, right? I mean, I know when my son was a baby, there was no way I was gonna keep him quiet. So I can only imagine out in a world where we can't even make a peep and I gotta keep this baby quiet, right? I think that's what builds a lot of the tension in this movie. I really like how they show you the world from the kid's perspective who is deaf, okay? She can't hear anything, so when there's things going on in the world, there's aliens running around, gunshots are being fired, she's just kind of like very quiet and numb to everything, not as scared as we are seeing the monster behind her because she can't hear. The first movie did a really good job of introducing us to that concept, but in this movie, of course, they take it a little further, and that might be one of my gripes, that they really depended on the fact that the girl was deaf, and they really are continuing the same path and journey from the first one, being that they found out how they could possibly stop these aliens. That was just the going force in this movie again. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't like that fact, but I wish they would have did something a little bit different. We're seeing people that we've seen before. Not that I wasn't expecting that. I do like how they tie the first one and the second one together. We do see them separate a lot in this movie, and which makes you think like, why are you guys splitting up? You should stick together, but that's what makes a movie good, right? You're building the tension. You're separating the kid that can't hear. You're separating the mother. You're separating the baby that needs an oxygen tank to live in this very very quiet box that they've made. The suspense in this movie is absolutely real, and it carries you throughout the whole movie. I found it absolutely hilarious that the family chose to walk around barefoot, okay? Not only did the mom step on a needle in the first movie, preventing herself from being able to scream and all this craziness, and as I'm watching it, I questioned to my family, like, why y'all think they still walking around barefoot? Like, damn, they could be wearing some Crocs or some sort of sandals, and they're like, no, you gotta be quiet. And then later on in the movie, when they run into one of their homies, he's wearing boots and walking just as quietly. I think that them walking around barefoot was a little unnecessary. You see their feet bleeding when they're walking like a trail of blood, and it kind of makes you think like, wow, you guys really don't know how to walk silently. But you know, I guess that was something that they really wanted to push in this movie, like these folks walking barefoot. At the end of the day, I really had a good time with A Quiet Place 2. From my understanding, they are trying to make this a trilogy series where there's 3 movies involved. We've already got the first 2. If they did do a third film, I would really hope that they show us somebody new, maybe the perspective of someone in the military or a lawman or somebody who experienced what's going on, and we just see it from a different aspect. Kind of like the Purge movies, where we got to see it from the governors and the law officials to the poor people and the rich people. I think that would be a good way to watch how things played out in this alien invasion. At the end of the day, I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Do I think that it was the best movie ever made? Absolutely not, but it was a good time to watch with the family, especially if you've watched the first one. It's been a while since the first movie was released, so if you wanted to watch the first one before you catch A Quiet Place 2, I think that's a good thing. There were people in the movie I had to kind of really think about who they were, and if I just would have known them from the first movie, it would have answered a lot of questions. But what did you guys think of this review? Did you hate it? Did you like it? Did you love it? Only way that I'm gonna know is if you jump into my comments. We have a full-on discussion on how you think this movie deserved a higher or lower rating than I gave it. But you already know what it is, man. It's your boy Merc. It's been a pleasure, but I'm out.
But we know that you acting with all of this heat, melt you up like you plastic. Niggas will switch up on you in a moment, like a stack of hundreds. I'm never folding. Heard they changed on me, I never noticed. Hit her and her friends, once that's a bonus. At the top, but I came from the lowest. Married to the money, yeah, I'm devoted.